They broke the seal on a royal tomb that had been closed for 500 years. The cameras went in first, showing walls that looked untouched, air that hadn't moved since the burial. Then the sensors started changing, readings that made no sense, particles floating in patterns they'd never seen before. 3 hours later, the tomb was sealed again. Not because they found treasure, because they found something that made experts walk away. And the decision wasn't fear. It was respect for something they didn't understand. For 500 years, this royal tomb sat beneath layers of earth in complete silence. Kingdoms rose and fell above it. Wars were fought, cities rebuilt. But underground, nothing moved. The tomb wasn't lost. People knew where it was. Local communities lived near it for generations. They just didn't touch it. Old records mention the burial, written in careful language, not dramatic warnings about curses or monsters, just quiet instructions, rules asking future generations to leave it alone. Over time, those instructions became traditions. Elders told children not to play near the site. Farmers avoided digging too close. Nobody questioned why. They just followed what their parents had done. But historians started noticing gaps. This ruler lived during a confusing period when power shifted fast. Many records from that era were destroyed or never written. The tomb represented missing pages in history, and archaeologists believed opening it could fill those gaps. After years of debate, permissions were granted. Modern technology could do it safely now. Control airflow, monitor everything, protect both the tomb and the team. The decision was made. They were going in. The day they opened the tomb started quietly. No celebration, just focus. Every person understood this moment had been 500 years in the making. Tools were checked repeatedly, cameras positioned at every angle. Specialists ready for their specific tasks. The final stone seal stood before them, wide, heavy, its surface worn smooth by time. Marks carved into it were still visible, though their meaning had been forgotten. Engineers explained this stone had survived earthquakes, storms, centuries of pressure. Removing it required patience, not force. As the first tool touched the edge, strange stillness spread across the site. Dust lifted slowly into the air, glowing in sunlight. Each movement controlled. Then a small opening formed. A faint rush of air escaped. Not strong, but noticeable. Air that hadn't mixed with the outside world for 500 years. The team stopped immediately. Procedures required them to wait, let the air inside adjust. Small cameras went through the opening. Screens showed the first glimpse of the interior. The space looked dark, tight, unusually preserved. Walls appeared almost untouched, as if time had moved slower inside. Then the smell changed. Not rotten, just unfamiliar. Monitors began showing small but sudden changes in air readings. Nothing dangerous yet, but enough to raise concern. As cameras moved deeper, what appeared wasn't what anyone expected. No piles of treasure, no shining gold objects. Just fewer items arranged with extreme care and precision. Each object had space around it. Nothing felt random. The burial chamber wasn't centered or open. It was set back. Protected by additional stone layers, positioned to make access difficult even within the sealed space. The builders had expected intrusion. Even centuries later, they'd planned for disturbance and prepared defenses that didn't rely on guards or threats, just structure and design. Then specialists noticed something disturbing. Certain surfaces appeared sealed within sealed spaces, layered in ways that were uncommon. The builders hadn't just wanted to protect something, they wanted to contain it, keep different parts of the tomb from touching each other. Air readings continued shifting without clear sources. Levels would stabilize, then change moments later. The environment inside seemed to react to the outside world. Engineers double-checked sensors expecting error. None was found. Fine particles started drifting outward through the opening. Under closer study, these particles didn't behave like normal dust. They stayed suspended longer, moved differently in air. Some experts believed they were part of a controlled sealing method, released only when the tomb was disturbed. If that was true, it meant the builders expected future contact and designed the tomb to respond, not collapse, respond. The tomb wasn't passive. Even after 500 years, it was still functioning as designed. Medical specialists warned that ancient materials can affect the human body in unexpected ways, especially when released after centuries of isolation. Even without immediate harm, long-term effects were impossible to predict. One senior expert pointed out another detail. The structure suggested balance, temperature, pressure, air composition, all carefully maintained over time. Opening the tomb further could destroy that balance completely. Whatever the tomb was designed to contain or protect could be lost, damaged, or released in ways nobody could control. The mood shifted from curiosity to responsibility. This wasn't about discovery alone anymore. It was about knowing when to stop. The team leader reviewed every concern, studied the data again, made a decision grounded not in fear, but in respect. The order was given to halt further opening. Procedures were followed step by step. The opening was reduced slowly to prevent sudden pressure changes. Materials stabilized the seal without damaging it. Every movement was calm and deliberate, like the team was apologizing to the tomb for waking it too briefly. As the gap closed, heavy silence settled over the site. No disappointment, just understanding. The tomb had revealed just enough to make its message clear. It wasn't refusing discovery forever. It was demanding patience. After the tomb was closed, experts returned to their offices with more questions than answers. They reviewed footage frame by frame, studied sensor data late into night. Nothing matched known patterns from other royal tombs. The structure, the materials, the behavior of the environment, all pointed to deliberate planning far beyond tradition. This wasn't simply a burial to honor a ruler. It was a system built to control, protect, or isolate something important. Historians revisited old records with fresh eyes, gaps in timelines, sudden changes in leadership, missing references to the ruler after their death. It wasn't forgetfulness, it was erasure. Someone long ago had chosen to remove parts of the story, perhaps to prevent questions, perhaps to prevent fear. Tests on the particles showed nothing immediately dangerous, but they didn't explain their purpose. Some believed they were part of a sealing method designed to react when disturbed. Others thought they preserved the inner chamber. Either way, the discovery showed ancient builders understood chemistry and containment better than previously believed. The tomb became a symbol. It reminded the world that history isn't just facts waiting to be uncovered. It's a living story shaped by choices, fears, and values. Ancient people weren't naive. They planned, predicted, protected in ways we're still learning to understand. For the archaeologists involved, the experience stayed with them. Standing at the edge of something so carefully hidden changes how you see discovery. It teaches humility. It shows that knowledge isn't always meant to be taken all at once. Sometimes it must be earned slowly, with patience and respect. The tomb remains sealed today, protected, no new openings scheduled. It rests in darkness unchanged on the outside, but no longer forgotten. Its story entered the world even if its contents did not. Scholars continue to study, debate, prepare, knowing that one day the right moment might come. Until then, the royal tomb stands as it always has, sealed, silent, watchful, carrying a lesson that reaches beyond archaeology. Some doors, once opened, demand humility rather than triumph. And some secrets survive not because they're hidden, but because they're waiting for understanding, strong enough to meet them. So what do you think was really inside that tomb? A disease sealed away to protect others? Knowledge considered too dangerous? Or something the builders understood that we still don't? Drop your theory in the comments and subscribe, because some mysteries aren't meant to be solved quickly. They're meant to teach us when to stop and listen.